This conference is being recorded.
Okay, I'm back.
All right, there it is.
All right, so let's get started and talk to me about this new show from G's to Gents.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about it. It's really what on message with what I've been about, I guess, for at least my matriculation into the industry. I wrote an etiquette book entitled Advance Your Swagger. Came out this past September, and my goal was to speak to somewhere between about 80. I wanted to do about 80 colleges and universities and different schools in 2 years, and I'm at 65, and I'm from the Wharton Business School to Morehouse College to Spelman to Harvard to single-gender schools, which has been my focus.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going to speak, and essentially this is what I have been doing, was the teachings in my book at these different schools and different panels. So when the show came about, I was really excited that, here's my opportunity to, instead of, have a book and have the teachings there to get, specialists in each category and teach these gentlemen who don't get an opportunity and who haven't got these lessons, and to really teach them and then to test them on it. Because so often we teach things, but then you don't test individuals on it, and that's the only way to really find out if people have retained the information, So that's essentially what the show is. And I'm really excited about it because there are going to be so many people watching that are going to say, hey, I'm like, Keeson, or I'm like, this guy C, and he's changing, and I'm watching him go through it, and I'm seeing how difficult it is. But, if I stay focused and really work on it, then I, too, can make that change. So I'm excited from an educational point of view for the show as well.
Okay, so it sounds like the show has, kind of, an educational slant to it. But is there, any, crazy drama that's going to go down? Any crazy fights on the show? Anything like that? Because, we've seen in the past, people get really crazy on some of these reality shows. They be throwing chairs and stuff like that. So have you tried to change, try to change that with this show?
Well, again, they got guys that were from the street corners, different corners of all over the nation. And, it was a sad thing walking into this particular gentleman's club that, no one is to strike anybody else or you would be kicked off. And I got to tell you, one of the most frustrating things was this one particular gentleman who had great potential, but literally was fired from every job that he's ever had because of violence, whether he hit somebody else or whether he hit, his boss or something. And to see, because he, didn't have a grasp on his temper and really couldn't, be the bigger man in instances, if you will, to see him once again fail here because of essentially that, and he was kicked off of the show. I can't say exactly what happened. It was spoilers, but but that was the hardest portion of the show, was to see guys who were still so, that mentality was so ingrained in them. And we actually got this lady by the name of Coach Taylor, who, I wouldn't call her a counselor. She's more, she's got a PhD, and she works with, prison inmates at San Quentin. So, this was a situation that, when I know, part of the wisdom with me and was when that this is something that you need even more professional help for. And, I just, thanks to Jamie Foxx and Chris Abrego, who, made sure that we can make those things happen, because people really got involved in these guys' stories and really fundamentally wanted to see them make a change.
Cool. And you just mentioned Jamie Foxx. How did you guys hook up for the show?
Well, Jamie's been wanting to do something in television with me since 2002 when he met me, ironically, and just so happened that this show, this is something that, he wanted to do, and, this is exactly who I am, and, this is a part of my brand, and which is, helping others. And so it just kind of happened like that. I was the person he had in mind when he conceptually thought of the show. He didn't tell me. He went and sold the show, and he's always had me in mind. And I'm just excited that I've been saying no to opportunities for the 3 a week for the last 3 years, so that I was a viable candidate for it.
That's cool. So you've been busy in the market space, doing a lot of different stuff. So I wanted to ask you, what's up with your album? I know you were signed to Kanye's labels.
I still am. We still are in partnership, and the first single for the album you'll be seeing pretty soon, actually. The title of the album is Cool Outrageous Lovers of Uniquely Raw Style. The first single has myself, Kanye West, and Andre 3000 on it, so that should make for a pretty nice splash.
Oh, okay. Will we hear any snippets during the show?
No, the video will be out, simultaneously. So
cool.
But definitely, you have other snippets of the album with the music, incorporated within the show. Definitely, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So now I want to know the winner of the show. They get $100,000 in cash. Like, what are you ultimately looking for this person to walk away with that money?
Right, and we dealt with that, and that's why we did a complete lesson on financial responsibility. Because it's one thing to have the money, but if you don't know what to do with it and you blow it, it's easy to blow that type of money. And so that's one of the things that we really wanted to make sure that we did was to teach financial responsibility. But my ultimate goal with this show was to make it to where the money was the secondary thing. The ultimate goal was that these guys wanted to stick around per lesson so that they could learn something to be better men. And you're going to see right around the third or fourth episode, the show really starts to take a turn. When they first come in, I'm on MTV, I'm on television, I got an opportunity to win $100,000. This is a competition, let me get somebody out. But once they start to get the lessons and they see the challenges and they see the changes that they're starting to make, it really goes for a turn. And it's not about the money anymore. It's about sticking around. And that was my goal. So I was successful in that.
Cool. Now, I was interested in talking to you about the show because I had just recently went to a screening of this documentary that was made by this 13-year-old black male, and it was called Say It Loud, and it deals a lot with this topic. So I wanted to know, like, what kind of advice, I know you've been going around to a lot of different schools and stuff, so what kind of advice do you tell our black males, and particularly focused with getting their education?
Right. What advice do I tell folks that get an education? What I tell advice to people who are getting an education? I'm trying to just make sure I understand your question.
Like, what are your tips for our black men to, like, stay focused in education, to stay in school, to go that route?
Essentially that. There's an organization, you've heard of the Ad Council, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the Ad Council has this initiative called Know How to Go. And they reached out to me. They were looking for, a recording artist that has a college education. And essentially this particular campaign was about, knowing how to go to college. And people, believe it or not, what they found is people don't know how to go to college. They just think that miraculously they're going to get a note in the mail that says, "Welcome to Clemson," or "Do you want to go to Clemson?" They don't know you have to take certain standardized tests in a lot of these lower income areas and a lot of these, areas where they're first generation kids going to college. They don't know that you have to write essays. They don't know that there are college preparatory classes that you have to take. They just don't know. And this campaign, and I'm the spokesperson for that particular campaign, the Know How to Go campaign, and it's a print. We shot a commercial, and we did a print and some radio spots. The radio spots have been airing, so now the commercial and some other things are going to start rolling out. But that has been what I'm about. I was blessed to be able to go and attend college, and I do tell the youth, the reality is you have certain tools. And, you know, by going to school, you're going to get more tools in your toolbox. You know, if you got a hammer and a wrench, bro, you know, that's what you have. You know, and a lot of these guys came with a hammer and a wrench, and this was about teaching them other tools so that they have a vise and a saw, so it's easier to cut that. But if you don't have a vise and a saw and you need to break a piece of plywood, you're going to break it with the hammer. And that's essentially what's happening right now in America. Folks' doors is getting kicked in, you know, and this is about teaching them, but they don't have the tools. And I truly believe that from watching this show, I think that folks are going to look at that guy, that young man that's walking down the street with his pants below his behind, in a different light and say, you know what, this guy probably really, truly, fundamentally wants to make a change and is over here at the Beverly Hills Hilton because he just wants to be around folks that are doing some of the things that he wants to do and around some of the places that he wants to be, but he just doesn't know. So he's there to observe. And maybe instead of looking down at that guy and shunning this young man, they may decide to spark up a conversation with him, you know? And that's what I'm really hoping that this show is going to do. And that's essentially been my message to the youth. To, you know, at the end of the day, go as far as you can, you know, on being a better you. And at the end of the day, you know, I tell all of the guys, I say, you know, I want everybody to get a pad. That's what I tell all the students. Get a pad. This is a pad. Leave by your bed. I don't know if you're a morning person, you're a night person. And every day, the first thing you do is on that first page, you write down your strengths and your weaknesses, and you got to be perfectly honest. And you should do it with somebody that's a true friend, not an associate, and somebody that also wants to be a better them, you know. And you guys help each other, and you write down your strengths and your weaknesses. And then you need to be asking yourself, now, what am I doing today to get closer to my goal, and what have I done today to work on my strengths? And what have I done today to work on my weaknesses? You know, and that's essentially what I tell them. And every journal entry, you know, doodle sometimes. You know, just doodle, grab some crayons, keep it next to your bed. You know, especially folks that are out of school, you very rarely get an opportunity to use your right brain. You know, if you're you know, in a corporate environment, and you know, branding is something that I don't care what corporation or what business you work in, branding is incredibly important. And this is a way to start to you know, be able to go back. And I like this pad. I call this is a pad where you can see your thoughts bleed. You never really get an opportunity to see how you think if you think about it. And this is an opportunity for you to now go back after 3 months. And I tell them all, don't look at it until 3 months. Go back and look at it. Look at the trends. Did you use the color blue a lot? You use the color red a lot. What does that mean? You know, so when thinking about your brand, you know, and who you are as a person, you know, you can help to craft that, and you can help to mold that based on looking at yourself, because you don't really get a chance to look at yourself other than the mirror when you brush your teeth. You know what I mean? So I've been telling them, and it's been a great tool, and I've been getting a lot of follow-up emails from not only the students in colleges, but from the people, the organizations that have brought me there and told me how that has been really effective.
Cool, man. That sounds like a great tip. I definitely got to post that one. Now, you touched on a little bit of another question I wanted to ask you real quick. But I wanted to know, do you think you can be a gentleman but be out on the street and wearing, like, low-hanging jeans and stuff like that? So I live in Harlem on 125th Street, and I see a lot of guys, like, you know, rocking baggy jeans. You know, you see their underwear. But, you know, can you be a gentleman and, like, put out that look?
You absolutely can. You know, it's a state of mind. You know, and a gentleman is somebody who can adapt in social situations. Someone who's courteous, someone who understands chivalry, someone who understands, you know, you can, if that's, you know, if you're an artist and that's how you do your thing, like Kanye, you know what I'm saying? He wears jeans like that. He does his thing like that, but he, at the same time, can move opening doors for the ladies. At the same time, you know, he's worldly. He pays attention to what's going on in the media from an international point of view. You know, and you can be a gentleman like that. Again, a gentleman, there is a G in gentleman. And it's not about you taking or stripping away who you are as a person. It's about taking that thing that you are and you being able to be comfortable in all social situations, and conversely, folks being comfortable around you.
Cool, man. So, could you, for the last thing, can you just give the listeners for thegreasyguy.com, a final spill about the show and why they should watch it, and then if you have the air date, can you give us that also?
All right, give me the first part. I got the second half.
Tell our audience why they should watch From G's to Gents.
You should watch From G's to Gents because at the end of the day, we're living in a time where we're aspirational, and a lot of folks don't have the opportunity to get the tools that they need in order to achieve their goals. This is a window into some of those folks' lives, and not just that, it's a bigger window into what America really is and what America is really going through. So, some of the biases, some of the, profiling that one might have, some of the prejudice even, you know what I mean? Not even from a racial point of view, just from a social, an economic point of view. I think that it will frame your mind a little differently to not only look at that young man or that young lady differently, but you may even want to lend a hand. You may want to mentor. So.
Cool.
And at the end of the day, I think you can see yourself in a lot of these folks. And the show airs July 15th, a week from today, Tuesday at 10 o'clock. And this is going to be a 10 weeks, a really riveting experience. I congratulate MTV as a network for garnering an hour of programming to this because they're really behind it, and they know that in order to truly tell this story, you really need more than 30 minutes. So kudos to them for that, and kudos to Jamie Foxx and Chris Abrego for putting it together. And I'm just a humble, what's the best way to say it? I'm just a humble vessel.
Cool, man. Well, congratulations to you. It's glad to have you back on TV. And actually, this sounds like a really exciting show. Like, when I first saw it, I thought it was going to be like, another one of those crazy dramatic shows that's going to make me cringe. But after talking to you, I'm like, oh, okay, this is like really coming different. So definitely going to check it out.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. And yeah, it really is. I wouldn't have done it if it was that type of thing. I get that other type of thing. I know what that is. It's entertaining to some folks. But you know what? Change is now, and we're living in that time, and people really want to move forward. So I want to be, I'm a part of that movement and on that change, and on that train. And hey, if all else fails, if you don't get to see the show, do whatever Barack Obama does.
No doubt, man. All right, man. Well, thank you for your time.
No, thank you.
All right, you have a good day.